Good morning. I decided this morning to make a new version of Listen to Lose L.O.L, starting with the called the Family Edition, because I've been traveling. Like last weekend, I was in Dallas. No, actually, I'm in Dallas now. I was in Atlanta at the Invest Fest, and over 20,000 people paid to get this information from so-called gurus and successful people in life. And one of the common things that people took away was that they really didn't drop any gems that could on how they got where they were, so that people could actually follow. So most times people really look for a roadmap. So what I plan to do with this, family edition is really designed to go out to my kids, my grandkids, and some of the people in my close circle, to really benefit my journey from hearing some of the stories about my journey. As everybody know, one of my primary missions and goals that I set on myself, maybe 20 years ago, is to, before I leave this earth, to leave a long-lasting legacy and imprint that is greater than or equal to Martin Luther King. The next thing is to become the richest African-American male in the world. And there's a reason why I set such lofty goals that to a lot of people may seem unattainable. But what I learned from a very young age is that when you set the bar high, you go higher. When you set the bar low, you go lower. So you will always achieve and do at the level at which you set your standard. And so it's important to, for one, strive for, greatness. There's nothing, perfection doesn't exist, but the strive for greatness and the grind to get there definitely does. And, I think my life has been a testament of just a committed grind. But I wanted to, share some stories on how we actually got here. So, most people don't know, and I don't think I've ever shared this story, but my desire to become a billionaire or even a businessman, or my first business venture, had to do with my desire to get a Popeyes biscuit, of all things. So the story is, me and one of my new friends named Junie, who lived around 3rd Street. It was, nothing to eat in the refrigerator at the house. And I think we both in the, I know I'm in the 1st grade, 2nd grade. And I know he's like 1 or 2 years older than me. But, I go over to his house, he don't have nothing. He come over my house, I don't got nothing. So he's like, man, I want Popeyes biscuits. And I was like, shit, I do too. I ain't never had one of them. So he was like, man, with the grape jelly, I'm telling you, like that. Hey. So long story short, we wind up, he came up with the idea to knock on people's doors and ask them, if we could take out their trash. So, man, I was on it. So that first day, I know we probably knocked on every door in the complex, and we made a good $10 or so. And not only were we able to get the biscuits, but we also got some Popeyes. And I'll just tell you that the taste of just that buttermilk biscuit for the first time with that grape jelly was it really launched to propel, my dreams and aspirations. So we continued to do that for a while, but that just was the beginning. So many people think that I kind of started, at some kind of high level. Like, no, I did not. So it started there. Then it went from, I would then carry people's groceries from, the cars. I would pump gas. I would do things. And then, back in the neighborhood, on Third or on Livingston Road, all the older dudes used to shoot dice. So I learned how to shoot dice. So I would take my money that I made pumping gas or carrying bags or whatever, and I would go. I was pretty good with the dice. And one of the things I learned too is that anything in life that you want to be good at, you have to study. You have to gain a competitive edge. So I had that understanding early on. So as a very young kid, what I did, I was like, man, like I can't be losing this money I made. So I gotta, figure out, some kind of strategy. So I would pick the dice up on different number combinations, like 3-4 or 3-5, and roll it 10, 15 times, and I would chart, okay, how many times it landed on 7, how many times it landed on 8, all the numbers it would land on, all the different combinations. So I was doing this at like 10, 11 years old, trying to figure out like how to, really get that money. So what I learned is that, you set that dice on 3-5, you roll it a certain way with a certain, kind of spinning velocity, the increased likelihood of you landing on 7 or 11 increase. So I started to learn that. Then I started to learn something called lock trace. So I became really good. So even, I'm in the middle of the crap game. I remember this story. I'm 13 years old, and it's 1:30 in the morning on like a Friday in the summertime or something like that. And I'm outside. I'm down Friendship with all the old dudes. They drinking, smoking. I'm in the mixed of it, getting their money. And my mom, she come down the street, pissed off, trying to figure out, why the hell I ain't in the house. And she see me in the middle of the crap game getting money. And she like, boy, you better bring your ass home and this. And I was like, Mom, like, nah, like. Then she was like, she'll fry me some chicken. I was like, all right, well, let me hit a few more numbers. And I wound up hitting a few more numbers and made it home. But the dice playing and the gambling also gave me a competitive edge, because I learned at a very young age the importance of taking chances in life. I learned some hard lessons early on with taking those chances, but there's definitely a correlation between successful people and risk takers. You have to be, willing to, take some kind of risk. You can't be risk avert. Always concerned. Like I was willing at a very young age to take some hits, and I'll just tell you, even though I was good, I took some hits at the wrong time. I remember one time, my high school prom, me and Pam went to the prom. She out there dancing, I'm in the bathroom gambling. And lo and behold, I lose the money that we were supposed to go to King's Dominion with the next day. And I had $500 and that shit was gone. So needless to say, the prom didn't turn out quite the way that I thought. The next example, and this kind of changed my habits and gave me some insight. I remember being on my honeymoon with Pomona, and we in Bahamas, and my motherfucking ass done it again. I wound up losing the money we bought for the honeymoon, and so it was a very interesting time. But I just say that to say you get a chance to learn, from mistakes. And one of the things that I learned at that very critical time, and then I'll move into some other things, is that there's an extreme importance of being a gambler and willing to take chances, but you also have to understand the consequences of that, and you also have to be able to do self-checks and realize that you got a problem. And early on, I recognized that this was a problem that was developing and that I needed to get a handle on it. So I put, some parameters in place so that I wouldn't become addicted to gambling, and I really scaled back, only gambling, if I did gamble, what I could afford to play with and have fun with. And it was really important, to develop that mindset and that habit of catching yourself before you find yourself into a situation where you're developing addictive behaviors. Because, I was always afraid of addiction because growing up, man, it was devastating. I seen so many of my, family members addicted to, crack cocaine and the devastation, or even like Love Boat and the devastation that, I seen where, moms was out there tricking, selling the food stamps, selling the welfare checks, like the kids ain't had nothing. Like, I mean, I seen it, I experienced it firsthand, you know what I'm saying? And it wasn't a nice, sight. So that really got me, fearful of, becoming addicted to anything from alcohol to, so at an early young age, I understood the importance of being able to pay attention to other people's situations, not having to learn from everyone, from my mistakes, but also being able to look at other people's lives, look at other people's situation, and see where I didn't want to go, and I would see what led them to either the success or the victory in their life, and the things that I saw that was leading to the failures in people's life, I definitely didn't, duplicate that, and I saw that as a, kind of a no-go for me. So, that whole portion of my life was, it was extremely important to develop that, competitive, risk-taking, mindset. But then it was also equally as important to manage that and not get to the point where, man, like this is just a problem. And I can give you a story, and this is probably where it really opened my eyes. Not too long after the honeymoon, I wind up, they came out with online gambling for the first time. And I think this was the early, I don't remember, like 97, 98 or whatever it was. But I remember using my credit card and playing blackjack online and winning $500. And the shit scared the hell out of me, to the point where, man, I was like, this shit is way too easy. I'm never doing it again. And I can hold my right hand up to God and say that from that moment on, I never played, bet online. I never did any, sports booking games, because I understood how easy that transaction was and how easy it would be to slip into, a really dark place. So I stayed away from that. So that part is really important. That's it for right now.